Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Cubs began a pivotal NL Central series against the red-hot Brewers. Terry McLaurin wants his bag, but the Commanders aren't budging. And Luka Doncic is winning the breakup, but Cooper Flagg can change the game.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
Two rivals went at it Monday night with the best record in baseball on the line, the division advantage on the line. No, it was not the Yankees and the Red Sox. It was the I-94 rivalry. It was Brewers. It was the Cubs, the Brewers, come out on top in this one, an 8-4 win. Sam Ober from Locked On Cubs joins me now. And Sam, the joke on Brewers Twitter has been, are Cubs fans nervous yet about the Brewers? Are Cubs fans nervous yet about the Brewers?
Well, I can only speak for myself, and I've been nervous about the Brewers since about September 2018. So I don't understand that side of it. I don't understand the people that look at this and go, all right, the Cubs are better. Like, we have no evidence that says the Cubs are better than the Brewers in the last 7 years. And so, yeah, I'm nervous about the Brewers, and I was nervous about tonight, and that happened.
How much do you think baseball has gotten crazy and always been crazy, really, with the wild cards and getting hot at the right time? That's part of the appeal of playoff baseball. How much do you think winning the division matters, especially with these two teams seemingly going to square off at some point in the postseason if you want to make it to the World Series?
That's a great question. I don't think it matters a whole lot in terms of if they play each other, who won. I don't think home field matters that much with these two teams, but I think it matters in terms of the sense of an accomplishment, right? The Cubs have spent almost $90 million more than the Brewers. They went out, they got a guy like Kyle Tucker to win this division. They were the talk of baseball for the first couple of months, and I think you're getting an MVP caliber season from your center fielder. You're getting all these things. And yet, if the Brewers end up finishing ahead of you, I think it's a real eye-opening situation for people that didn't already know that, pound for pound or dollar for dollar, that this Brewers organization is, might be at a different level.
As we, close in on the end of the opportunities the Cubs will have as the trade deadline approaches here to try and make this roster better. Are you expecting something? Are you hoping for something? What is the feeling right now about what this team needs?
No, expecting. I would say expecting more than one big trade. I think when you go out and you trade for a guy like Tucker, who's probably not going to be on the team next year as it's going right now, you got to take advantage of it, optimize it. This Jed Hoyer extension that got announced today, I don't know if you saw that. President of Baseball Ops for the Cubs got extended. That changes things a little bit because now he's not as desperate, but I still think this Cubs team's all in, and I think they're going to make a lot of big trades and do the best they can. But they need to win a game this week. So
it does start there. You still have to win the games as we head toward the end here. I wanted to give you a chance because we got the announcement from the Cubs, and there have been opportunities now to offer some eulogies on social media. Sure. Ryan Sandberg passed away. What is going to be your lasting memory of him and his impact on this organization?
Yeah, we just talked about it on our show, actually. I think, Rhino was a little bit about 15 years before my time, so I didn't get a chance to watch him play live, but by all accounts, from all the people I've talked to and all the reading that I've done, you're talking about a Mount Rushmore Chicago Cub player. You got Banks, you got Sandberg, and then you could argue about the other two, and a guy that was a hero to a lot of people. I saw something really interesting from a Cub fan today that was like it was the 80s version of Ernie Banks to a lot of Cub fans, like another Mr. Cub, if you will. Yeah. The numbers speak for themselves, 10 gold gloves, the silver sluggers, the whatever they are, 84 MVP. But for me, it just seems like one of those guys that just impacted so many people just by being himself, both on and off the field. That was actually at Cubs convention this year, and they always list the Hall of Famers or announce the Hall of Famers last, and he was the last one to go. And that ovation was that was really special. It was really special to be a part of, and one of the greatest second basemen to ever play. And it was just really sad how fast that came about. And just wish him the best and rest in peace. And a all-time great Cub.
You can stay up to date all year on the Chicago Cubs by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Cubs on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Your Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, the Commanders have a problem with their star receiver. Before we get to that, we take a look around the NFL. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. The Pittsburgh Steelers had a bit of a squabble involving their new star, Jalen Ramsey.
Hey everyone, Chris Carter here from the Locked On Steelers podcast, bringing you your daily Steelers training camp recap after day 4 here at St. Vincent College. It was Sunday, and it was the last day without pads. The Steelers take a break on Monday, and then on Tuesday, it's full pads, full hitting, ready to go, and everyone's excited for that. You could even feel the tension between the offense and the defense all throughout this practice. Multiple fights kind of broke out. Cole Holcomb went at it with Ryan McLaurin one time after a run play. They kind of just took each other down. Some scrapping, had to be separated. At other times, other guys got in their self-shoving matches. One of the kind of funnier ones I was close to was Pat Freiermuth blocking Jalen Ramsey on a screen pass. Just kind of blocked him up, took him downfield for a little bit. Jalen Ramsey didn't like it. He was pushed him back. Pat Freiermuth cracked a joke trying to be silly and trying to defuse the situation. Ramsey pushed him again. You could tell it's getting testy out here. We'll break more of that down and all the things going on at Steelers training camp right here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.
The Saints are searching for answers in the here and now.
All right, day 5 in the books at New Orleans Saints training camp. Let's walk to the car, and I'll tell you everything you need to know from the Saints' first day of padded practices. Takeaway number 1, we'll do 3. Takeaway number 1, pass rushers again, fantastic, especially Chase Young as well as Carl Granderson. Now, the big question always remains, are the pass rushers good or is the offensive line struggling? And honestly, we won't really know that until they stop hitting each other and start hitting players on other teams. But nonetheless, you want them to start in a place where they're going to be successful. Let's not forget that Young and Granderson were also both top 17 in pressures last year. Now they only totaled 11 sacks together, so you got to be able to finish plays when you get to the quarterback. But this year, in a system that seems a little bit more supportive of their skills, it even gives them the freedom to be able to choose their own deployment based upon what it is that they want to be able to achieve, i.e. standing up or putting their hand in the dirt. Good stuff from both these guys and a good start. Going over to the quarterbacks, see each quarterback made some plays every now and then. Spencer Rattler had a great ball down the left sideline to Rashid Shaheed. We saw some other nice passes throughout the day as well, but mostly kind of an uninspiring day by the young quarterbacks, and that's fine. Like, this is the 5th day, first day in pads. You're recalibrating a little bit. Sure, physicality goes up when the pads go on. So we'll see where things continue to move ahead. But again, it's not just about what you do, it's what you do next. So we'll see what it is that these quarterbacks kind of do the next time that they're back on the field, which isn't really going to be until Wednesday in terms of a full capacity. Tuesday, they're going to use as a kind of a special teams install day. And then finally, just putting the pads on means that the run game came a little bit more into focus. And I like some of the stuff that I saw. It was a lot of gap between the tackle, downhill, early down run work, not a lot of outside exciting concepts and all these other things. But I just like the way that the offensive line is being moved around, the way like post snap, pulling guards, utilizing a lot of the athleticism on that offensive line. And that's what Kellen Moore does. He does that really well. So we'll see how that continues to build over the course of the next few weeks. But a good start, first day back in pads, really getting into the run game. So much more. Tomorrow's off for the majority of the team, so we'll be back Wednesday. Of course, we'll be live for you later on with our Saints Squad show at 9 p.m. Central Time here on Monday night. And we'll be back at it over on Locked On Saints every single day. And we'll walk to the car together next week, or not next week, but in a couple days on Wednesday. See you then.
And the Dallas Cowboys signed a player to an extension, but it was not Micah Parsons.
Breaking news is the Dallas Cowboys have signed a big biscuit to a big extension. Hi, I'm Landon McCool with the Locked On Cowboys podcast, and Jake Ferguson got a 4-year extension from the Dallas Cowboys, making him the highest paid tight end in franchise history. This was a little bit surprising, but again, for a team that is known for not exactly getting deals done a little bit early, the Cowboys get ahead of this one a little bit before Jake has potentially a breakout season this year with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens on the outside, and re-sign him to a deal that last year was kind of supposed to be his breakout year. Unfortunately, he had some injury issues. He put on some weight to kind of slowed him down, but he had looked good in training camp and was due for a new contract. So this is a pleasant surprise for the Cowboys, who get their tight end for 4 more years. For more on this, make sure you check us out on the Locked On Cowboys podcast.
The Washington Commanders made a surprise run to the NFC Championship game last year. They traded for Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel in the offseason. They are loaded for bear, or maybe Lions, I guess, if that's what we're going to do here, except Terry McLaurin, one of those pivotal pieces, is not participating right now in training camp. Our man David Harrison from Locked On Commanders, our boots on the ground with that team, joins me now. And David, the reports right now, at least, are that these two sides are not particularly close either on a new deal here.
Yeah, shout out to True Media. I was able to go through True Media's data and then collect a whole bunch of data points on like how Terry's production up to now compares to other receivers in the past, and then how those receivers that had similar production to Terry's progressed into their 30s. Terry McLaurin turning 30 in just a little over a month and some change. And then I took that and paired it with some contract data from similar type players, multiplied by inflation, a whole bunch of things that people with glasses do. And the ultimate solution or the ultimate, finality that came out of that was that tells me that he's worth about $26 million annual average value on an extension. And the latest, reports, or at least speculation, with some sort of firm, backing behind it potentially, is that he wants well north of $33 million annual average value. I don't know if you can get much wider on the gap if that's the case. Now, I don't know what the Commanders are presenting, but if they're presenting anything that one-man analytical data, data dive produced, I don't know how they're going to close that gap, because that's a pretty big difference.
Well, they do want to win football games. There's new ownership here. Like, maybe we have an idea of how this ends if Dan Snyder had been the owner still. We haven't really seen a moment like this, but their offseason to date suggests, hey, we're going for it right now. They're now one of a group of teams that seems to be playing hardball with some superstars, but expects to be like really good this year. So who blinks first here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that you have to understand about this front office is that they're aggressive. They're not desperate, right? Like, at the end of the day, they're not going to mortgage the rest of the team, to try to go get a championship this year. Obviously, they want Terry. They've said as much very publicly that they love Terry in the building. They want Terry in the building, on the practice field, all these things, right? But Terry says he basically doesn't feel valued enough. I think at the end of the day, if we're playing chicken here, Terry has to swerve first, because his only other course of action is to once again hold out, because now he's reported to camp. He's on the pup or he's holding in, however you want to determine it. But his only recourse is to either hold out again, which is not going to go over well with anybody, fans, media, anybody, if he does that, and then sit out the season. And if he sits out the season, the next time he plays meaningful football, he's going to be about 2 weeks away from 31 years old. Yeah. And as a free agent in that situation, not having played at all in 2025, you're not making anything close to what you're asking for. You're not making anything close to what the Commanders may be offering you. And, oh, by the way, the franchise tag next year for Terry McLaurin is right around $30 million. So, again, you want over $33 million annual average value. The Commanders really have no reason to offer that. And you're asking Adam Peters to bid against himself. And if he's learned anything from John Lynch, it's you don't bid against yourself. So Terry really doesn't have any leverage here, unfortunately, for him. And so, at the end of the day, unless Adam Peters just really wants to blink, he has no reason to.
Okay, let's set that part of it aside. Let's assume something gets done here, because I think that's a safe assumption. We've really only seen a select group of players in the history of the league take these things into the regular season. Le'Veon Bell, the one big exception where he took it, through the year. Do you think they've done enough to close the gap with the best teams in the NFC? And I think in this case, particularly, we have to look at the Eagles because they're the team they're chasing.
Yeah, I think they have. I think they've done enough. I think better protection for Jaden Daniels, better run blocking up front for Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler is going to make a world of difference. And I think they've done a good job of, at least on paper at this point, right, addressing their run defense deficiencies. First padded practice of training camp was on Monday, and there was literally a rep where we saw Dietrich Wise Jr., one of their new defensive ends, very, very effectively set the edge and prevent Brian Robinson from bouncing a run outside. That's exactly what you need against a running back like Saquon Barkley and what they didn't have last year. And then if you pair that with the Eagles losing Kellen Moore and also losing some very important veteran leaders on their defense, they're still talented. Don't get me wrong. I'm not predicting a Seller, visit for the Eagles anytime soon, but they're perhaps on paper regression plus the Commanders' progression certainly seems to close the gap.
Stay up to date all year on the Washington Commanders by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Commanders on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, just how much can Cooper Flagg help ease the loss of Luka Doncic? Luka Doncic is settling into life as a Laker. Yeah, sure, he moves to LA and gets in better shape. The first person to ever do that. Now on the cover of Men's Health, though, he's winning the breakup so far. But as Dallas looks to rebound from losing its star, Locked On Mavs host Nick Angstad explains why Cooper Flagg can change everything.
And this is almost like when you break up with somebody and they go and are with somebody better. They're with LeBron, and so they're hanging out over there in LA, and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, their next partner is way better. What an upgrade for them. And then you're kind of wallowing a little bit. You have missed the postseason. You're wallowing. You're not with anybody. And all of a sudden you get like this promotion at work you did not deserve, starting to get paid more money. And this is the Cooper Flagg thing, where all of a sudden the Mavericks got something the franchise and Nico Harrison himself did not deserve. And all of a sudden it happens. And I think Cooper Flagg can change this, because I think Cooper Flagg, at least to me, can reset this whole timeline where we're not comparing 1-to-1 anymore. I go through that whole timeline. Luka gets traded, Mavs versus Lakers, the secret meeting because of the fallout of the trade, the statements made, the fortune favors the bold, all those kind of things that Nico Harrison said. And it won't be as 1-to-1 anymore, because there will just be this side timeline with Cooper Flagg that's going to be happening. We're still going to have Mavs versus Lakers. It's still going to be Anthony Davis has all the pressure to replace Luka Doncic to me. Nico Harrison still has his timeline the next couple of years with AD and Kyrie. But you have this side timeline now with Cooper Flagg that just completely changes it, in my opinion. And I think for a lot of Mavericks fans too. You listening, if you're a Mavericks fan and you're like, I'll never forgive them for the Luka trade. Once Cooper Flagg happened, didn't it all of a sudden just like cover that up a little bit? And yes, this is exactly what Nico Harrison wanted. And he got what he wanted. And I know that also rubs Mavericks fans the wrong way, in a big way, that he got something that he didn't deserve. But you also win too as a Mavericks fan. And so take that. Let it cover it up. It's fine. It is what it is. But now there's this second timeline where it's like, all right, let's watch Cooper Flagg's career and see how that goes. Because that, I think, is how the Mavericks can win this. I think that's the only way they can win this. I said that the day before the lottery. I went on this show. You can go back through our archives on YouTube or podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, anywhere. I literally said the one way out for the Mavericks to get out of this whole Mavs, Luka, 1-to-1 post-breakup comparison game where you're just not going to win. The only way for them to win the breakup was to get Cooper Flagg. That's the only way. I said that the day before the lottery, knowing that the Mavs only had a 1.8% chance. And here it is. It happened. It's been realized. We're here in this timeline now where the Mavs have the number one pick. They get Cooper Flagg. He's played in Summer League. He's talked all about how he's approaching this season. He's everything that everyone has expected and thought that he would be. And it's absolutely awesome.
It's hard to remember a player with more on his shoulders than Cooper Flagg. He is replacing a living legend in Luka Doncic, someone that was on pace to be the biggest star in Mavericks history. And he comes in as the most valued number one overall prospect in the NBA in half a decade, more. This is not quite not quite the pressure that LeBron James felt in Cleveland as an Ohio kid. The hype around LeBron James, we've never seen anything like it. We may never see anything like it again. But Cooper Flagg is someone we have been talking about in sports circles for years as someone, when he comes to the NBA, he can change the game. Now he's coming to a franchise having to replace a player that was beyond beloved and could help one of the league's cornerstone franchises bridge the gap to a new generation, which is seemingly all they do in LA. The pressure on Cooper Flagg is immense. If he can do even 60% of what LeBron did, it would be a miracle. And he faces the most pressure a number one pick has had in a long, long time. If he can do it, it will be one of the best stories in a long, long time. And finally, Colorado Buffaloes head coach Deion Sanders will continue coaching this season, easing concerns that he might step away from the program due to health issues. Sanders announced yesterday that he successfully underwent surgery to remove his bladder after doctors discovered a tumor. According to Sanders, there's been no signs of cancer since the procedure. This fall will also mark the first time he leads a high school or college team without his son Shedeur at quarterback. Primetime is officially back, and we wish him the best with his health. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up, how are things out in LA with Matthew Stafford's health again in question? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.